Hello, everyone. Good morning. We're so happy to see you all here. Hello, Kiva. Hello, Jordan. Hi, Angela. Hi, James. Hi, Hal. All right. Well, it is 10 a.m. Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We are so excited to meet with our IWMS community and our facilities managers and asset managers and all the awesome people that make up our community. Today, we're going to be talking about how workplace leaders get the most from their assets with the RSC Esri ArcGIS location synchronization, and that's a lot of really fancy words for a very simple concept, which is basically making IWMS, ArcGIS, and Esri talk to each other so that you can share data and see it in one place and make your workflows more efficient. So our agenda today, we're going to have some introductions to our panelists, to our subject matter experts. Bob's going to go into an introduction of what Reels is, go into a lot more detail than I can give you. We're going to have our panel discussion. So Todd's going to show you what it looks like and all the awesome features. And then Peter is going to give us really quick but very well, a lot of knowledge on, ArcGIS indoors. And then Bob will give us some more demos on some more functionality between ArcGIS and Esri. While it does say audience questions at the end, we do encourage you to ask questions throughout the entire webinar. You can use the chat panel, you can unmute yourselves, you can use the questions panel. We welcome any and all questions. We're here to answer the questions and give you the knowledge that you need. And then afterwards, we will have our conclusion. Here are our panelists. Today, we have Todd Forsyth, who is the CTO of RSC. He is our tech guru. He knows everything technical. He's awesome. We're very, very grateful that he's here today. And then we have Bob, the CEO of RSC, who has a wealth of knowledge, many years of experience on ArcGIS and Esri. His background is in landscape architecture, so he's very familiar with maps, with all the things that you need to make a campus come together. And then we have Peter Thomas, who is our Esri representative today, who we're very grateful for joining us. And he's going to give you all things Esri, all things ArcGIS, and he's going to be talking about indoors, and he also has a wealth of knowledge to give you today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Bob to talk about what Reels is.
Thank you, Veronica. Can you hit the next slide, please? So we've been in RSC. We've been in business for 23 years doing ArcGIS. I've been doing ArcGIS for 25, almost 26 years. It is our core competency. That's all we do. With the exception of, we joined the Esri team about 6 years ago. And being a recovering landscape architect, I love looking at maps. I understand demographics, floodplains, roadway alignments, how things travel on diseases, how fish migrate in the oceans. It was one of our training in environmental, and I just really brought these two things together, and it's just been a wonderful ride. Our message today on Reels is that we believe that when you connect ArcGIS and ArcGIS and even ArcGIS indoors, you have a one-stop shop for all of your assets. So let's just kind of think about that a little bit. IWMS will handle things like your real leases, your real property leases, your real property portfolios, where your cell towers, where your utilities at, how much acreage do you own, how many buildings do you have, where are your people located, what kind of assets do you have, where's your furniture, where's your equipment. And when you have all that inside of a building, you're able to do some really good total cost of ownership of the building and assets within it. ArcGIS does not do exterior very well, although it has exterior, but it doesn't do it as well as ArcGIS. ArcGIS is the world leader in geographical information systems. It will show roadway alignment, stop signs, utilities, underground utilities, traffic patterns, floodplains, demographics. It has hundreds, if not thousands, of map layerings that you can purchase, obtain, or review from your local agencies or from Esri itself. So if you're a campus or a government agency or a private entity that wants to know total assets, we really believe that bringing ArcGIS indoors with ArcGIS and ArcGIS will be a one-stop shop and give you everything that you need and everything you're looking for. We're going to show you a little bit of that here in just a few minutes. Next slide, please. So let me talk about this just a little bit. So I have the ArcGIS circle in the middle, and let's say that you as an entity have ArcGIS indoors installed, or maybe just ArcGIS. Let's make sure we understand the difference in those two. ArcGIS is the exterior. It shows, like I said, forestry, roads, all that kind of good stuff. In the last 7 years, Esri has produced an indoor product, which is basically a inside the building geographic information system. So in other words, the same functionality you have on roads, we can now do inside of buildings. It's like a beginning of a CAFM system. It has highlights of rooms by department, room categories, types, where people sit, how to travel from A to B. Click the first circle. So one of the first things that we're finding is that when you connect ArcGIS or ArcGIS indoors with ArcGIS, we really think that one of the best benefits is that you can have a single work order system. So instead of having Maximo on the exterior and ServiceNow on the interior, you could have ArcGIS span both ArcGIS indoors, ArcGIS, and ArcGIS, and it'll be the same interface. We can then leverage things like Esri's Connect, which is a mobile device, or Survey 123, which is also a mobile device, and have that information seamlessly flow into the ArcGIS application. Next slide, or next circle. Now, one of the biggest tractions that we're getting in the last probably 2 to 3 years is what's called project management within ArcGIS. So project management within ArcGIS is basically a kind of a 3-tiered application where it will allow you to set budgets and plan your either fiscal or multiple year project planning with budgets and dollar amounts. Second portion is you can actually go out to bid and receive those bids and review those bids and choose or select a vendor. And then the third portion of that is that you can actually then task the project. Actually, with a Gantt chart, you can actually import Microsoft Project and export Microsoft Project, but inside the ArcGIS application, you can actually run the tasks on a Gantt chart or just by tasks. And that ties back to the work order system. So if there are tasks within the project management that requires an internal or external craftsperson, the project management application can kick off a work order within it. So the benefit here to you would be, let's say you have some roadway improvements out in one of your highways in your county, or a road within your campus, or on or you've got some improvements that are going on your sports field. You can actually run that project within ArcGIS and actually see it in ArcGIS as well. Next, please. One of the biggest success stories we've had in the last 5 years, and Todd was very instrumental in this, is an energy management connection within ArcGIS. ArcGIS allows you to read satellite weather information, so you can bring that weather information in and read it real time. We can also read the meter information that's brought in from your companies, and you can put those pieces of information together, and you can actually see any anomalies that we have you have in your energy management. And one of the clients that we've done this with actually found out that one of the buildings was way out of whack with their billing, and they couldn't figure out why. And what they had determined was that the utility was actually using the wrong units, which actually increased the price. And they saved them thousands of dollars a month just basically by doing that. And I know that energy is a big thing on the university side. Next, please. So one of the things that Archibus and Esri do really well is asset management. In other words, both of them, we can take a look at stop signs, we can take a look at AEDs inside of a building, fire extinguishers, elevators, roadways, sidewalks, turf areas that we're mowing. And within the application, Archibus can actually put together systems. So if you think about an HVAC unit, we can track them in the diffuser all the way through the ductwork to all the way up into the air handling unit, and we can actually have them be separate pieces of equipment or assets because they may have different maintenance requirements, but tie them together so we understand that this air handling unit is cooling these rooms, or this air handling unit is cooling those rooms. Now, how does that equate to ArcGIS and you? Well, we can do the same thing with transportation corridors. So where's the interstates? Where's the roads? Where's the stop signs? We can tie them together as a unit. And then we can get, again, total cost of ownership, who's responsible, which craftspersons do we call to correct things when we have a utility break or some other type of things that needs to happen. All right, next, please. One of the things that is also very good that when you tie these two things together is we can now start to do capital budgeting. And this is going to go to the larger, I think, win for everyone. Capital budgeting is an application that allows you to identify your funding for a duration, whether it's a year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, however long you want to do that, and put them in different types of buckets: vandalism, project management, tenant improvements, arbor work. And when you do this, we can track three things: what you budgeted, what you've estimated, and what you actually spent. And with this capital budgeting application, we can now take this to the ArcGIS side. And again, with the project management and the capital budgeting, we can now start to provide most of the information that's necessary for your year-end annual report. So when you have to report on the number of buildings you've got, what's your square footage, how many divisions do you have, what's your head count, what's your total acreage, how much maintenance did you spend on landscaping, what tenant improvements did you do last year? When you start to do this, Archibus will start to help you grab that ArcGIS information and bring it into a annual report. Next one. And then the real property portfolio management. This is a wonderful snapshot. This is where you start to get total cost of ownership of your entire enterprise. It will show you land, it will show you buildings, it will show you equipment, furniture. This real portfolio management has a wonderful, wonderful dashboard that will give you a complete snapshot. And again, I think the benefit of putting these together for most of the people on the phone here is that you can start to grab that information very, very quickly and reduce the time it takes to get your reports collated and brought together. The data's there. Next slide. So this is a simple work. We start off with work requests on the circle, and what we have started to do with the Reels application is that we've taken the Archibus Geospatial extension for Esri and expanded it. So instead of just making the connections to Esri and Archibus, we're now providing functionality within Archibus from Esri and eventually to in Esri from Archibus. And this is a simple work order system. And go ahead and click again, Veronica. What this is an Esri. This is a stop sign, a traffic signal at an intersection. And if you take a look, it might be a little bit too small. Todd's going to zoom to it, or you can correct. You can create an Archibus work request. And so both from the Archibus side and the Esri side, we can create work requests. This functionality has already been completed, and we're going to get ready to show that. So I'm going to turn this over to Todd right now, who's going to give you a live demo of the work that we've done in the Reels application.
So what you're seeing is us logged in to a demo instance of ArcGIS, but the map you're seeing, the real-time map you're seeing, is an Esri map, and the assets that you're seeing shown on the map. So there's a few traffic signal assets and some fire hydrant assets here showing. Those assets have been linked between the two systems, so they exist as equipment in ArcGIS, but they also exist as assets within Esri. And so the map, as I've said, really is coming from Esri. And so what happens here is when we click on this, we're actually getting the equipment ID from Esri. Esri is telling us, oh, I recognize that icon that you're clicking on. That's FH0001 in on my end, and then it's passing that to ArcGIS, which is saying, okay, that's interesting. I'm going to display some information about that piece of equipment on the screen. But not only can it sort of tell us a few things about the piece of equipment, we can take action on that as well. So if we wanted to, for example, see the work requests that were associated with that piece of equipment, we can call up a form that's a native ArcGIS form to take a look at those at the maintenance work requests that have been created for that piece of equipment, and then kind of dive into the details if we want to, and take action from there. You know, add documents or you know, do other things that we would need to do to sort of work on or close this work request. We can also, if there's a need for a new work request, we can create a new work request right from this screen. And you'll see that, so normally within ArcGIS wants to get a location that's a building related location, but we're actually pulling the location here that's a latitude and longitude based location from Esri. And we can go ahead and say, okay, this is a leak problem. And we'll go ahead and submit it. Okay, and it pulls up a notification that says I've created a new work request for that. Here's the number so that you can go ahead and see that in the maintenance console and get it assigned to the right craftspeople and get that work underway. So that's great. Why should we care, I guess? So one of the things to think about with this is it's really difficult when you're looking at kind of grid-based lists of equipment to figure out which equipment should be serviced together, particularly when you're looking at things like corrective maintenance, when you're just sending someone out to fix a leak like we looked at here. It might be good at the same time, since they're going to be on the same street, to create work requests that would have them checking the other fire hydrants in the area, or if you were working on traffic signals, if there was a problem with one, assigning them to work on the others in the area. Other things you might do with this would be highlighting the pieces of equipment in the area that had been assigned to particular craftspeople, so you could understand how their work was assigned, and maybe even assign craftspeople to assets in a particular area based on the fact that that's the area that they were working on things in. The other thing, and Bob's going to show a little bit more about this later in his demos, I think, is this is I'm just showing point assets here on the map. It's also possible to show linear assets like streets or like pipe networks, and so you can understand kind of what sits upstream or downstream from a particular asset and work on that as well. This isn't limited to equipment. We've also linked the buildings and published our floor plans into Esri, so that the floor plans are sitting not just kind of out there on their own, but also within the Esri system, and clicking on those rooms can give us a little information about the rooms down here, but could also be used to create work requests for those rooms or do other things to those rooms as well. So I think there's a lot of possibilities, both outdoors with equipment and assets, and indoors with the rooms or indoor equipment that you would be working on. So this is just a tiny little proof of concept. It's working on a demo version of the ArcGIS application and on a demo version of the Esri Enterprise ArcGIS for Enterprise running on one of our servers. So we know how to integrate this. We'd be happy to help you do the same. I know that a lot of folks already have the Esri capability and have the Archibus capability as well, and just there isn't really haven't been able to integrate the two, and that's something we'd be real happy to help with. And that's the end of my presentation.
Awesome, thanks, Todd. Okay, and now we will turn the time over to Peter to talk all about the Esri ArcGIS indoor side. Peter, take it away.
Well, my name is Peter. I'm an account executive here at Esri on our mid-market team, and I specialize in our indoors product. Working with indoors, working with great partners like, and products like Archibus. I also work with all types of organizations such as hospitals, universities, governments, and corporate campuses. And I'm happy to give you all a quick overview of what, kind of a holistic overview of what indoors can look like. Next slide, please. ArcGIS Indoors is a complete system for indoor mapping, and it's used to create a connected workplace. It enables people in the workplace to share a common operating picture of their environment. Workplace maps provide the means to quickly understand activities happening within your spaces and access the identity, status, and location of the resources supporting the activities. Executives and operations personnel can visualize where resources need to be allocated to keep organization running optimally, while also providing wayfinding, routing, location sharing in the organization. And this increase in productivity drives organizational value, saving time, effort, and money. Slide, please.
Okay, next slide.
Yes, I've clicked. I apologize. I think we're having some network issues. Just a second.
This is where we start doing the hand puppet things, right? Like.
I can just keep going because actually I'm going to add a little bit on the facility side of things real quick. So I'll just keep going while you. Okay, yeah, no worries. So one way to see this increase in productivity is by utilizing indoors with facility and asset management. Seeing the location, movement, status, and identity of managed assets with the current workplace map. These maps are a container for your organization's people, places, and things. And this allows for informed resource allocation management. So one example is we use ArcGIS Indoors on our campus in Redlands, California, here at Esri. And if I'm walking to the cafeteria from lunch and I am in a hallway and I see a burnt out building in the hallway, I just quickly open up my Indoors mobile app, click on the work order button, and I take a picture of the problem, write a brief description, and then I click submit. And that work order can then be spaced or recognized on a map, along with all types of other work orders like we've kind of heard about in this webinar already. And what I'm trying to communicate here is that you can have your IT team see IT requests, you can have your maintenance team see maintenance requests, as well as janitorial services see their workflows and so on. And with Indoors, you can quickly know the who, the what, the where, and the why of service requests within your facilities. And other ways ArcGIS Indoors is in your workplace is utilizing for hybrid employees, like you can see on this slide. Not only can I use Indoors to wayfind, navigate our campus, but I can also use it for reserving a desk, a conference room, or office. Now on the back end, when employees are reserving space, HR can also see and rearrange where departments sit around buildings. And this provides once again, a common operating picture of the workplace that allows HR and senior directors to maintain a high level of awareness of happenings in the organization. And we also provide tools for HR and employees to build a connected culture by providing wayfinding. Part of me, if I'm a new employee and I'm trying to navigate campus, I can use Indoors to wayfind, to also use location sharing and calendar integration as well. So a lot of great just networking and learning opportunities that are easily located with Indoors. Next slide, please. So far we've covered facilities and workplace experiences. And next is having complete situational awareness. And that goes beyond just knowing where your employees and departments are. That even goes on to safety and security. Using indoors to, beyond having a complete picture of your workplace, it really supports the design of emergency preparedness plans. And in the event of a workplace crisis, those interior maps will provide emergency personnel precise routing for immediate response and track the real-time location of security personnel and assets. These maps can not only be, these maps that you make can be made available to third parties, such as police and fire in the case of emergencies. And with that, we've covered a lot of really good components of indoors, and I'm going to kind of pull back and kind of recap what we've covered. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. So what I'm going to do here is start on the left side with data management. I'm going to work towards the right side. So starting with data management, the building and floor plan data is extremely important and critical with using indoors. And any solution we make is only as good as the data we use, meaning the better floor plan data, whether that's CAD or BIM, the better the ArcGIS solution will be. And so far we've discussed a lot of indoors in terms of its functionalities and value props, but ultimately indoors is about creating an authoritative system of record. And that can be information on the building facility regarding facility operations, space management, or occupant experience. But I like to refer to it as an authoritative system of record because that's ultimately what it is. And what I lastly want to reiterate is we really integrate with all types of third-party systems, and we offer this solution as a single pane of glass for all facility and workplace teams.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Bob, go ahead and take it away.
Sure. So for those of you who are using ArcGIS and those who are not using ArcGIS, I'm going to go into the ArcGIS application and show the at least decade-long ArcGIS geospatial extension. First of all, I'm going to go into the real property and lease management after I sign back in because I've timed out, which is a security measure within the ArcGIS application. So I've been idle for a little bit. So let me come in here into the real property and space management. And where I'm going to go here is I'm going to go to what's called the Global Portfolio Dashboard. And what's wonderful about this dashboard, we talked a little bit about this in the circles around the circle. This is a snapshot of your entire properties, all of your properties, all your buildings, and you get things like total number of buildings, what's the total square footage, what's your percentage of leased, and a bunch of other information that can really help you make some strategic decisions. Now, right now, this is global, but this is operating costs. I've got occupancy. I've got building use. I've got owned and leased buildings. But over here on the right, I have an Esri map that has been embedded in this dashboard that can be zoomed in or zoomed out. I can actually change the background. If I want to go to a world imagery, I can do this. So you can see the ArcGIS has over the decade integrated the geospatial with Esri seamlessly. One of the things that's wonderful about this dashboard is should you have regional managers, I can come in here and take a look at just the Americas. And when I filter this report will be just the Americas. But all the same types of information will be available to you. So you can see the building use and the owned and leased buildings by percentage. All of these charts are drillable. So if I click in onto this, I can get into the data that makes this up. That's a little bit of an ArcGIS thing, but again, the Esri. Let me come into the maintenance console for just a minute, show you one of the wonderful things that ArcGIS has done also with Esri, and that is in the maintenance console, which is about work orders. we have this button called Locate. And this Locate button will bring up an Esri map. And on this Esri map, it will show you where your locations where work requests are in fact at. And if I was to come into here and filter the console by the San Francisco Bay Area, the requests that have been assigned in that area are shown up here in the console. This is a little bit of what Todd was talking about earlier, is that when we tie that work request into Esri and bring it back, I can now go to that intersection and click on it and see how many work requests are against this area. In the technologies area, which is given to ArcGIS business partners, there is what's called the GIS views. These are types of views that ArcGIS has already produced. Let me show you a few of my favorites. One of them is the Campus Asset Explorer. And the Campus Asset Explorer will bring up an Esri map and allow me to take a look at things like buildings by use. So I can come in here and see what types. I can put a legend over here on the right-hand side. This is all coming from the ArcGIS information that's been pushed to Esri and overlaid onto the Esri map and is now available on the Esri site as well. I can come in here and take a look at room categories. It's going to zoom into a slightly different area. Oh, not categories. Yeah, it is. Hold on a minute. Let me zoom into here. So just a little bit closer, and you can see some information here. What I like about this map is that I can go to separate levels and still see the room categories that are available. I can also come in here and take a look at rooms with equipment. And so if there are fire extinguishers that need to be looked at every 30 days, we can come in here and get the information on it, and we can actually put the work with the survey. So if you want to do the inspection, like, is the glass broken? Has the fire extinguisher been used? When was the last time that it was tested? All that kind of good stuff can be put here in this situation. The other one that I also really like is the lineal assets. The lineal asset presentation, I'm now going to show every parcel in this area, and you can see those are all lined out here on the map. I'm now going to come in here and show water mains. So the water mains now show up around this campus we were looking at, and I can click on these and see some information about these lineal assets. I can show details about that piece of equipment over here, and I can even update that information here on this Esri map. I can also have separate ones like let me see it by systems. So here I believe this is the fire protection line, and this is the regular water line. And so I do have this type of information. Again, I can show a legend so that we can actually see that. The other thing that I just want to go through a couple more of these activities. So what I like also is the map address geocoder. So for example, let's say that we have loaded in ArcGIS a bunch of buildings, and I want to know where these buildings are. If I come here and click on it, it'll highlight it on the Esri map by I'm going to say show building. So and it says, yep, there it is. I can come in here and zoom to it so you can actually see a little bit closer where it is. Oh, let me back out just a little bit. Yeah, there it is. And I can then set a geocode for the building. And basically this makes a strong connection with latitude and longitude and where it actually is in the whole global map. So, if you load 100 buildings into ArcGIS and you want to get them on the Esri map relatively quickly, you can come in here and use the geocoder. Really like that feature. It's very nice. The other thing I like are thematic markers. So we can come in here and select all of the buildings and show the buildings. And we now get these markers set on the map shown in two ways. Let me get this just a little bit larger so you can see a little bit more information. So what's being shown here is not just its building use, but its population. There's 500 people in this building. There's 479 in this building. And so we have this thematic both by color and by size. I think it's a very, very nice feature. And we do have what's called a drill down. So we can, in fact, come in here to the geospatial drill down, and I can come in here to the boss site and drill down into, you can see the map changes into the BOSMED location, and I can get down here to the floor. And if this had been geocoded or in the floor plan put on there, it would have highlighted on here. So these are just some of them. And again, I just want to emphasize that there's about 40 of them out of the box here. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but there is a lot of thought and a lot of energy and some really nice features that can be used by the end users in this application, both with Archibus and ArcGIS. I can't emphasize enough that my belief is that when you tie these two applications together, with that work's already been done, and we use the Reels application, which then provides live bidirectional data from both Esri to Archibus and back again, you have a complete set of all of your assets, both indoors and outdoors, with the same functionality. I want you to think about how many software savings you could have there, how much time savings you can have by simply producing the reports that we showed you here in the Archibus application. How much time savings could you have when you're trying to locate where that traffic signal got knocked down and you need to send a worker out there or to access a vendor. That's the end of my presentation. So Veronica, I'm going to turn it back to you. And I think we're into the questions and answers time.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much, Bob. And yeah, let's go into questions. Any questions at all about what you've seen, capabilities, functionalities that may not have been shown here? We're here to answer all of it. Okay, let's see here. I see.
Nice to see you, Janice. Janice, it's been at least 5 years. Janice and I go way back. I remember being in Massachusetts, and Janice, you hosted a get together for all the business partners. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Salem, Mass. Yeah, that's right. I was going to say witch trials. I'm like, man, I can't remember. All right, Patty has a hand up. Yes, Patty, what would you like to ask? Nope. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Patty. Yes.
I'm wondering, it's basically what you've shown works only with your GIS software, correct?
The great question. So let's just be clear. Both Archibus and Esri are open architecture applications. So this connection I'm showing you, I think, is the most powerful. It's not the only connection. And Peter will attest that they attach to probably 5 other work order systems, probably Maximo, ServiceNow, and a couple of others. And we at Archibus, or those of us who do Archibus, we're able to connect to also Google Maps, other GIS systems, because we have a flexible connector system that, as long as there's either REST APIs or some type of connection to other applications, we can bring that data in. We have a client, several of our clients, I'd say almost every one of them, have at least one synchronization to another app. But I have a couple clients that are up in the 10s, 20s, 30s, and one is almost 40 applications that we tie to. So Patty, I don't know if I answered that question, but I'll go further if you want more.
Yeah, it seems like it works best with your GIS, while you have it set up to interface for the Esri and the.
It's more full featured there, yes. I mean, more energy has been put in by the Archibus side to bring our Esri into. And Archibus makes decisions about that by finding what the leader is. And ArcGIS or Esri has been the leader in GIS for 35 years. So.
Okay, and then I have another question. As far as this is very focused on, although it brings in linear like parcels, etc., and some equipment on there, signs, things like that, on roads. It's really a system that integrates the indoors, your facilities, etc., with other things that you have like roads, maybe bridges, etc. So you really have to have some other type of like CMMS application from a different company or vendor, and your software integrates these. Is that correct?
It's similar. Archibus has a CMMS system in it. When I showed that maintenance console, that is a CMMS system. It does both on-demand preventive maintenance and housekeeping. And if you want me to, I can. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So, Veronica, I'm going to make myself presenter, and I want to drill into this just a little bit so we can make sure that we're all clear on what's happening here. So, I'm going to show my screen, and when I hit this maintenance button over here on the left-hand side, it's as if I was doing a CMMS system. This rivals Maximo, ServiceNow, maintenance connection, any other types of information like that is a full-featured one. In fact, yeah, Jen Phelps said, you know, Archibus CMS is a really good one. I like it better than the others, is what Janice says. So let me go into the maintenance console so we're clear about what's going on here. So the maintenance console has in its background the ability to route work requests or CMMS requests to its proper department or person or supervisor by what's called a service level agreement. I'll go into service level agreements in just a minute, but right now, if I take a look at the service console, you'll see that I have multiple states of work requests. I have requested, I have approved, assigned to work order, issued and in process, on hold for labor, completed. There's about a dozen more that aren't here. It's just that they haven't been assigned to that status yet. And Archibus in the CMMS system gives you the ability to make it as simple as you want or as many steps as you need. So for example, if it's just request, issue and process and complete, we can create a service level agreement that will do that. If you need to be able to go through request, approve, estimate, assign to a work order, assign to a supervisor, assign to a shop, issue and process to a craftsperson, craftsperson's notes, we can go and create this a 30-step workflow according to the service level agreements. So let's just come in here to one that's issued and in process. This is the one that Todd just put in during this demo. And so that service level agreement automatically took it to issue and in process because of the service level agreement that was behind it. But at this point in time, I now am on the maintenance console, so I'm not the requester anymore. I'm now someone who's managing the system. And I can come in here and put in things like, where was the problem location? And I can, so, you know, on the left side of the building, I can come in here and find a cause type. Oh, there's no cause types filled in, but should you say vandalism or lack of maintenance information. And then we can come in here and put information about the equipment. If there's more information that we want to put in here, we can upload documents and pictures, and we can bring in manuals. So in other words, if there's a certain way to maintain a person piece of equipment, either indoors or outdoors, the steps can be put here as a reference manual that the craftsperson can see. We can get more information again about this piece of equipment and, you know, lockout procedures and other pieces of information. We can upload procedures, methods of operations, additional documents, or just standard documents. We can also show this on a drawing, and we can do additional information. Now, I'm going through this relatively quickly, but I do want to emphasize the fact that we can do both maintenance, preventive maintenance, which is scheduled, and corrective, which is on demand or at the time. And what the system also has a wonderful opportunity is that we can get now a whole host of information about these work orders. So we can come in here and get labor analysis. In other words, how many craftspersons are available for work and when, which weeks and things like that. Now, this also is tied very closely to what's called the asset manager. And I want to show this to you, because one of the things that is really powerful about this is that we talked about the ability to put systems together. And let me kind of show this. So this is a system that if I come and click on it, I'm going to get information over here on these right panels about the chemical compliance analysis, which will include a picture, all of the details. I can edit it, edit information. I can show it on a floor plan. I can create a service request from here. And I can actually show different fields should I want, or highlight it differently. I can show which teams are tied to it, which custodians, which spaces, and then I can go downstream. So this is the chemical compliance analysis, but this is a sub component that is tied to this system on this desk right at this location here. And then if I want to come and find this piece of equipment that's tied to it, it's here, and it has a subsystem. And these are all different assets that can be actioned and worked upon. So you got me excited, and I went and showed a bit more. I'm willing to answer any more questions.
So is that the HIPPO, the ArcGIS HIPPO, is your CMMS?
No, it's ArcGIS CMMS. HIPPO HIPPO is another product that the mother company has purchased that does very similar things, but it is an isolated application. Is there any other business partner on the phone that knows HIPPO better than I do? I know that there are a couple business partners on the phone that would like to answer the HIPPO question. But basically, I understand that HIPPO CMMS is a similar comparison to the ArcGIS CMMS. Yeah, Brandon.
I was just looking on the RSC website the other day, and I wasn't quite finding a CMMS application, but
yeah.
So you're saying what your the ESRI and the ArcGIS GIS, it integrates with any and all CMMS applications out there, basically, or more the larger ones like Maximo and things.
It's most likely the larger ones, but it is open architecture and can connect with most of them. I know that it's connected with ServiceNow. I know that we've connected with Maintenance Connection. We've connected with Maximo. It's a bit redundant, but what happens is that sometimes companies have their favorite work order system, and people are using it, and they've been using it for years. They don't really want to get rid of it, but it doesn't report as well as ArcGIS does. I mean, ArcGIS has a fantastic reporting system. And so when they bring that data in from those other systems, we can then get to the total cost of ownership that we showed up here on the Global Portfolio Manager, where I can bring in that information from those other systems. But those of us who are business partners would recommend to you, is like, we could save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single system like ArcGIS and ArcGIS, because you don't have to have multiple ones. It's all right here.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering my questions. Appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Any other questions or thoughts or ideas from anyone?
Just to be painfully clear, for this demo, the CMMS is ArcGIS. We are using ArcGIS as the CMMS system.
Yep. All right, Veronica, I'm going to hand it back to you. And again, we've got a couple more minutes for questions, but we won't belabor this. If we're pretty much there, we're there. So, can you show your screen, Veronica? Yeah, there we go. Good.
Give me just a second. Okay.
I believe we can have. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Thank you for all your questions and for the discussion. As you can see, we're very excited and we're very passionate about this. And so I will give the panelists I mean, feel free to ask more questions, but if there are none, I will give the panelists just a few minutes to give any closing remarks or any other thoughts that they have.
I've spoken a lot, but you know me, I'll speak some more. But I'm going to turn it over to both Peter and Todd.
So I'm going to blow Peter's horn just a little bit. So one of the things that I really think there's great promise in this kind of integration, the ability to export location data from ArcGIS, put it in Esri, and then have it move further into Esri indoors is navigation, both kind of within a desktop environment and within a phone kind of mobile device environment. But this idea of like giving people directions from the location they're at to the location they want to go, even if those locations are inside of buildings and require them to take elevators and walk up and down stairways. I think that shows a lot of promise, not just for navigation of people walking between buildings, but also for things like, you've been assigned this work request. Where is this piece of equipment? How do you get there from here? And I think that that's a great new feature that people have been wanting for a long time.
Yeah, just kind of echo that. It's one of like the many aspects, like probably the main driving force of the indoors product is the ability to integrate with facility management, work order management systems. But there's also, like I kind of talked about, there's wayfinding you can do space reservations, you can make these maps available to third-party contractors to know how to navigate to when they visit buildings, or even police or fire. So the facility management is pretty much the bulk, but there's a ton of other functionality that's included with it. So just wanted to echo that as well.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
So we're going to have a call to action. Should you want to understand a little bit more, at no charge, if you give us a floor plan at this email address, we will analyze what it would take to get it into indoors and ArcGIS, and let you know what the effort would be there. We'd take a look at it, analyze it, and let you know. We'll give you some recommendations. So should you want to understand that, we'd ask you to just email it to bobs@rsc2lc.com. That's an L, not a 1, so it's rsc2lc.com. And last call for questions. All right, if not, I think we're going to make that a wrap. What do you think, guys?
Sounds good.
I think that sounds great. Thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you so much to our audience for making this event awesome. We hope you have a great week and enjoy this weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.